whatever I tell you about the guest is as nothing compared to this. Check it out.
I'm about to tell you a story that is going to absolutely piss off a lot of people in the United States of America.
Mel Carmine is an entrepreneur, filmmaker, and podcast host whose work spans independent media, emerging technologies, and alternative financial systems. Born in Sicily and raised in New Jersey, he built businesses from an early age before moving into media, where he developed an audience discussing subjects ranging from digital currencies and financial sovereignty to censorship, free speech, and government power. Through documentaries including Dear Mr. President and Show Me the Money, as well as his podcast, live events, and educational platforms, he encourages people to question established narratives and explore how technology, finance, and individual liberty may shape the future.
Yeah, sure. Well, Strawman, when you're born, they ink the bottom of your feet. They give you an all caps name. They give you a number. They give you another number on the back of the actual Social Security card. And the actual line that you sign on isn't an actual line. It is actual fine print, which is further bamboozling you into their system. So they always say to read the fine print. You look at the Social Security number, it doesn't look like it's a fine print. It looks like it's a line. So people just sign on it, and you're signing basically your life away. So if we pay a bill using our Social Security number, the question dawns that, is it our money or is it your money? I think it's our money. They just don't want you to know about it. Someone is enslaving us. Is it Israel? Is it the banksters? Is it these guys? Is it Wall Street? It's a little bit of all of them. The only way to fix this is someone's got to wake up in the morning and grab the bull by the balls and say, you know, we got artificial intelligence. I got friends of mine who are worth millions of dollars. We could build our own platform. We could deliver the people what they want. We could deliver the podcasters what they envision, because I know I live inside the mind of the podcaster because I'm a podcaster myself. If someone could deliver what's in my mind, I would jump on it in a second. But if no one else out there is doing it, I might as well be the one that grabs the bull by the balls. At the end of the day, whether you like to believe it or not, social media in America is being run by Marxist, communist ideology. That's who's running the show. We have to create heaven on earth. We have the ability. But if you think the state was completely total communistic in nature, Marxist in nature, they've brainwashed your kids, they want to control your money. But the reality is this: if we don't free up the fucking microphones, you can yell at the top of the biggest mountain, Mount Everest, okay, that you should grow your own food. But if someone is in charge of the damn microphone, you can yell until your eyes pop out of your skull. Ain't nobody listening to you, dog. So let's fix first thing first. Let's fix the microphone. Let's get a platform that when I build the platform, and maybe, you know, all these influential people will invite me on their podcast, say, you know what? That is amazing. You delivered exactly what I wanted. How genius. Not that I'm calling myself a genius, but I am.
Are you saying that's what you want to do, is build a literal platform?
Oh, yeah. This is the biggest endeavor that I've done in my entire life. This is going to YouTube, Facebook, anybody that wants to get in our way. You know why? Because we're going to build a mousetrap that is for the people, so that the people can have their voices back. Not a little bit. All the way. 100%. Full spectrum, free speech. No holds barred. A structure so deeply embedded, most of those inside it don't even realize what they are a part of. Institutions you trusted operating within a framework you were never meant to question. And while you worked, struggle to survive, something bigger was moving behind the curtain. In this documentary, we exposed the largest financial deception in the history of mankind. Not with options, but with evidence. Irrefutable, irrevocable, undeniable. This is not about politics. This is about power. This is about control. And most importantly, this is about you. Because the moment you truly see it, the illusion collapses. The distractions lose its grip. The noise disappears, and the question becomes unavoidable. When this film is released, the truth will no longer be hidden. It will be undeniable, uncontainable, unstoppable. My job is to expose it. Your job is to make sure the world sees it. Now, will you have the courage to face it, to share it, to break free from the system that was designed to keep you enslaved forever? Or will you ignore the greatest revolution of our time? The truth is here. You will either stand up and help us dismantle the Matrix, or the Matrix will enslave you and your family for 1,000 years to come. The choice is yours. God knows I did my job.
Whatever I tell you about the guest is as nothing compared to this. Check it out.
I'm about to tell you a story that is going to absolutely piss off a lot of people in the United States of America.
Mel Carmine is an entrepreneur, filmmaker, and podcast host whose work spans independent media, emerging technologies, and alternative financial systems. Born in Sicily and raised in New Jersey, he built businesses from an early age before moving into media, where he developed an audience discussing subjects ranging from digital currencies and financial sovereignty to censorship, free speech, and government power. Through documentaries including Dear Mr. President and Show Me the Money, as well as his podcast, live events, and educational platforms, he encourages people to question established narratives and explore how technology, finance, and individual liberty may shape the future. Mel, thanks so much for joining us today on Stay Free with Russell Brand.
It's my pleasure, brother. I can't believe I'm actually talking to you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be talking to you as well, because we're friends, both of us, with Joby, that man in chains for God. Maybe we can start there, because you're a filmmaker and in a sense, you're an agitator and a provocateur. But like Joby, you know a great deal more than I do about the way that finance, and in particular, blockchain currencies, are going to be impactful in the coming years. Given that Joby Weeks is our common connection, can you tell me about what your relationship with him is and was?
Sure. I met Joby a long time ago. I was living in Costa Rica. I was working with Bradley Lockerman, who's a movie actor, who I didn't even know he was actually a movie actor. I learned that from Joby. He said, you know, the guy that you introduced me to that's in charge with John Searle, who invented a magnetic motor, who's from your neck of the woods. Searl, John Searle, Searl. Look him up. He's amazing. He's dead now, unfortunately. He said, do you know that guy is an actor? I said, what are you talking about? I've known Bradley Lockerman for years. He's no actor. So I called him, out of the blue. I said, Bradley, are you an actor? He said, yeah, I just don't tell anybody about it. I'm not really too fond of Hollywood, that kind of stuff. And so with that, basically, I was the guy that was supposed to make his $10 million a month electric bill disappear. And then he was going to an event with Tony Robbins, and these guys were on his tail. Obviously, there's some unwritten laws in the United States and probably all over the world that you can't create wealth for a lot of little people and create a lot of wealth for yourself in the interim, because they just don't want the little guys like me and you, I guess, to have power. But the power is going to switch at some point. There's no doubt in my mind that it's going to switch.
Joby Weeks, when I first spoke to him, Mel, what I felt was he's a person that, because of his entrepreneurialism, his early adaptation to Bitcoin technology and recognizing that Bitcoin mining was going to generate a lot of revenue, hence his $10 million a month electric bill, hence the billions generated, and the fact that his company, the company that he was associated with at least, was growing at the same rate as Facebook and Amazon in the early online days. Much of this information is available available in Mickey Willis's brilliant film, Free Joby. There's a link to that in the description. You can check that out. Joby's real crime was he realized how much money could be generated through Bitcoin mining quicker than the people that want to slow the progress of digital currencies until they can discredit them, control them, and have their own digital currencies. Now, a lot of your work, it seems to me, Mel, is focused on what a lot of our audience are interested in, the way that now centralized systems are struggling to maintain centralized control because of decentralizing tech, whether that's independent news media, the possibility to get information out without it having to go through the filters of what we would call mainstream media. That doesn't mean that information is always good, but it does mean that it's not controlled in the way that centralized authority would prefer it to be. Or when it comes to the matter of digital currency, centralized banks and brokerage systems are no longer required in the same way because we can trade directly with one another anonymously. That is the antithesis of what they want: centralized control of information, centralized control of trade. Hence the scriptural prophetic talk of bearing the mark on the right hand, or probably a chip under the skin, and bearing the mark on the forehead. Now, you, like me, I think, see us as being in a kind of end time moment, don't you, Mel? That what appears to be happening is that, like your film Straw Man, for example, covers the idea that we exist both as a spiritual entity made in the image of God, but also as a legal entity somewhat owned by the government. Can you explain to me what you mean by that straw man idea in the context of your film?
Yeah, sure. Well, Strawman, when you're born, they ink the bottom of your feet. They give you an all caps name. They give you a number. They give you another number on the back of the actual Social Security card, and the actual line that you sign on isn't an actual line. It is actual fine print, which is further bamboozling you into their system. So they always say to read the fine print. You look at the Social Security number, it doesn't look like it's a line. It doesn't look like it's a fine print. It looks like it's a line. So people just sign on it, and you're signing basically your life away. And
can
when
you
parents,
sort of prove that? Can you prove that? If we I'm watching this with our producer, Massey. So will Massey be able to? Can you send him a link so that when we're showing this, we can pull that up and show it and enlarge it and go, see, look. Can we demonstrate
well, it's
that?
actually in our movie. Yeah, it's actually in our movie. What happened, Russell, was this. My wife was very computer savvy, my wife Amber, along with a bunch of my friends. What they did is they went to a computer website, and they put in the Social Security number, the back of the Social Security number. I don't know exactly how they did it, but they all got a receipt back saying, hey, your bills were paid. My friend Molly paid $33,000 credit card bill. My friend Bill, who's down in Boca Raton, he paid like $8,200. My wife paid like $2,836. It's in the movie. We show the actual receipt saying, thank you, your payment was successful. So if we paid a bill using our Social Security number, the question dawns that, is it our money or is it your money? I think it's our money. They just don't want you to know about it. Now, our movie is being sort of remastered, maybe as of tomorrow, as early as tomorrow. There's going to be a remastered version of it, which is going to, if you thought the first one was amazing, this one that's going to be remastered is going to be even better. We found some pieces that we had to add to the movie that I think, you can't leave it out because it tells the whole story for what it's worth. So we went out of our way, Russell, to basically trying to find the most prolific elementary pieces that we could find. And very, very, not that you need a low IQ, but because they've gone out of their way to dumb us down with the food, with the pesticides, herbicides, toothpaste, mouthwash, the clothes you wear, everything, right? So I had to tell the story in such a way where an average dumb guy like Mel Carmine can understand it, right? I said, if I can understand it, then I know it's ready for world consumption. And that's exactly what we did. And we got nothing but 5-star reviews across the board. It's a 2-hour documentary that you need to fasten your seatbelt for because it will leave you flabbergasted.
Go on then. Can you just explain that to me a bit? Because I might be one of them Mel Carmine
what happens,
style
do you have a driver's
bozos.
license?
Yeah.
Do you have a driver's license?
Yeah.
Do you have a registration on your car?
Yes.
Okay. Did your mom and dad pay for your birth certificate when they were in the hospital when they gave birth to you?
Possibly,
Yes.
I don't know. Remember 1970s.
Everything is a payment. You go through a stop sign, you get pulled over by the police. It's a bond. Your social security number is your bond number. That's the number that gets traded on the stock exchange, and they're getting interest on top of interest on top of interest. That's why everybody's worth $400-500 million on average. Okay, and nobody even knows about it. And everybody wakes up in the morning, goes to work, and we're on this treadmill. And you technically don't have to go to work because they've had the robots, they've had the technology, they've had the AI. They just don't want to release it. Right? But the reality is someone is enslaving us. Is it Israel? Is it the banksters? Is it these guys? Is it Wall Street? It's a little bit of all of them. So the bottom line is you go get a fishing license, a hunting license. You think you own your car, for example. You don't own your car. Your car is registered to the state. The state owns your car. And I don't care if it's a Ferrari or a Ford. I don't care if it's a Lamborghini or a Maserati. It's owned by the state. If that car is registered, go read the fine print on your registration. The car is owned by the state. Okay, your driver's license, you have to pay for your driver's license. That's a bond. That money gets traded. You go through a stop sign, you get a speeding ticket, you get a hunting license, you get a fishing license, you get a marriage license, you get a divorce license, you get a remarriage license if you're stupid enough to get married, like some of us, a second, a third, and a fourth time. Every time you do that, that is a license, and those licenses get traded on the stock exchange, and they use your social security number to keep track of everything.
I didn't know that, and I don't fully understand it, to be honest with you. But what you're saying is that because I don't understand what the monetary value is, and I also don't, even though I agree with the general idea that the state has ownership over you, that you are not free in the way that you think that you are free, that you are controlled in a million ways before breakfast. What it seems that you're telling me is that you can point to, and in the film do point to, see what that says there on your driving license. See, like you could pull up something on a state of Florida.
Oh, we can absolutely.
Well, let me finish so that I'm just clear. Like on a license plate registration, you could show me a bit of bureaucratic language that says your car is owned by the state, and therefore they could, if they wanted to, come and get it. If they wanted to. That's the fact.
100%.
I didn't know that. No, I didn't know
There's no question about it. As a matter of fact, if you want, like we're not recording, maybe you might want to bring me back for a second session. I would be like pulling teeth to try to get my wife to do a podcast with you because she's the brains of the family. I'm just a loudmouth, right? The bottom line is she will take you directly to the website where they went, where they put the social. She'll show you, for example, if you have an American social security number, which I'm sure you do. You live in Florida now. You must have a social security number, right?
Yeah.
Here. Therefore, we can actually go and look up things that you've done in the last, registering your car, a driver's license, little things like that.
We can't keep putting this content on YouTube because we don't trust YouTube, and we have a really great deal with Rumble. Get over onto Rumble right now. Click the link. Join us over there. You get additional content from me if you get Rumble Premium, and other great Rumble creators. Dave Rubin, he's on there. Your man Steve and Crowder, he's on there also. Wait a minute, there's others. Kim Iverson, she's good. Tim Pool, that's another one. Everyone. What I'm telling you is everyone's doing their best. Everyone's doing their best, man.
So, but that's very interesting to me. I recognize that bureaucracy is a kind of system of registering and enforcing power. And I also know that in practice that all of us live within pretty narrow parameters. And if you try to exceed those parameters, even just by things that you say publicly, you will feel the constricting force and power of the system. But I haven't done research work in demonstrate. Like I just know that, for example, when I became very outspoken in ways that were inconvenient, that the mechanism existed to use the law to restrict that. And the same with Joby, the same with Joby, for example. Okay, so with digital censorship is not a conspiracy. Can you tell me what is in Dear Mr. President, what, Mel, is the point that you're making about free speech and digital censorship?
Sure. Dear Mr. President, the first movie, which is free, and I did the movie free because even though it cost me money to make it, nobody works for free, but I had to pay these people to produce the movie that I envisioned about free speech. And we do believe that because I have some friends in very high places, not to brag, that have verified that the movie has landed across the desk of the administration, to which he signed a executive order saying you are not allowed to censor free speech if you run a social media platform in the United States. Did YouTube stop censoring? Did Instagram stop censoring? They're all censoring. Even this one, sir, with all due respect, I understand you have some kind of partnership going on with Rumble, but I've been stuck at 30,300 people. They rolled me back to 30,100 people. I've sent them some very, very incredibly well-written emails. Nobody even answers back because they can't defend themselves because they know that I'm right. So therefore, the only way to fix this is someone's got to wake up in the morning and grab the bull by the balls and say, you know what? We got artificial intelligence. I got friends of mine who are worth millions of dollars. We could build our own platform. We could deliver the people what they want. We could deliver the podcasters what they envision, because I know I live inside the mind of the podcaster because I'm a podcaster myself. Right?
Yes.
So I know what I want as a podcaster. If someone could deliver what's in my mind, I would jump on it in a second. But if no one else out there is doing it, I might as well be the one that grabs the bull by the balls.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so how do you demonstrate that YouTube or X, I know that YouTube can throttle views. I'm surprised to hear that Rumble do it, because I think Rumble, I don't know how Rumble works behind underneath the hood, as it were, but I know people that run Rumble pretty well, and it seems to me that of course they're running a business, but that their business is based on free speech, and in particular posing themselves as a distinct organization from, say, YouTube, which is extremely censorial in a number of brilliant ways.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible the way that it can be controlled, mate. What proof do you have of it?
Well, look, when I was doing videos and I interviewed guys who knew a lot, who's in my movie, David Straight, about the straw man, and I only had 6,800 subscribers, and I thought people were going to unsubscribe, and I was going to go back to selling energy deregulation. And that video was so well done, and the interview was so well done, because I'm also pretty good at interviewing people, and that video gets 219,000 views that weekend, and I got 6,900 people. And now I got, one channel's got 54,000, another one's got 14,000, another one's got 17,000. I got a bunch of channels with a bunch of stuff, right? With a bunch of followers. The bottom line is, why now I do videos and I got a lot more experience and I bring in incredible guests, and my videos are not allowed to go over 4,000, but yet I got 54,600 and something people, whatever. But yet I'm not allowed to get those big numbers that I was getting when I had 10,000, 5,000, 6,000, 15,000 even, right? What's changed? I mean, I've gotten better at my craft. I should get even better numbers, right? But because we are going against the status quo, look, at the end of the day, whether you like to believe it or not, social media in America is being run by Marxist, communist ideology. That's who's running the show. And your kids go to school and they become flaming liberals. How'd that happen? Because someone's brainwashed. You give your kids over to the state. That's why when your parents, okay, they're renting you to the state. Listen to the wording, parent, okay? They're renting you over to the state, and they are basically signing on the birth certificate that they're handing you over to the state. You are part of the state. You don't belong to your parents. You belong to the state, Russell.
Mm. Well, yeah, actually, I belong to God. And
that's true.
What's been very interesting about the last few years, Mel, is recognizing that there are ways that you can inhabit this system with a degree of financial success and freedom, if the extent of your requirement for freedom is just really the pursuit of pleasure. You can carve out little avenues and pathways where you can live in a kind of a silo of pleasure. But when you start to recognize that you are being controlled, it's the only way you can really go, if you ask me, is to turn towards God, and in allowing God to do his work in you, see how and if the tools of this machine can be leveraged or charged in a different direction. And that's the middle of the struggle that I'm in right now. And you can sort of see that, Joby Weeks must have had some kind of impact. Andrew Tate must have had some kind of impact. I must have had some kind of impact. Or you could believe the sort of alternative story that's available on all of those imperfect and fallen, broken men who definitely have errors in their past, for sure. Certainly, I know I do. But what I'm interested in when it comes to your work as a storyteller, Mel, is how you have told the story of, for example, in The Straw Man, that we are owned, like bureaucratically owned, and what we can do about it, and the same with digital censorship, that we are being controlled. I know that in the United Kingdom, what's happening right now is that the explicit story is, in order to protect children from obscene imagery, new censorship is going to be introduced, and that new censorship will basically require that people have a permit to go online. Now, we're not there yet in the United States, but we could end up there very, very quickly if we're not careful. So I wonder, Mel, if you've begun to think of what the alternative to these restrictive models might be.
That's a great question, Russell. The alternative is for people to find vacuums. They have created this vacuum, for example, with censorship, right? So I said, you know what? No one's answering that call. I'm gonna go and answer that, and I'm gonna build a better mousetrap, and we can do that because of artificial intelligence. The code that we're writing, for example, for Tube 1776, which screams freedom and liberty, is going to be light years ahead of YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. Why? Because it's being built by artificial intelligence, which is what? 100,000 times smarter than humans. That's a fact. You cannot argue with that fact. And it's going to get smarter and faster as we go, right?
Yes.
So, there are plenty of vacuums. You don't like the food because the food is poison. Go start a food company that delivers clean food, okay? You teach people, like, for example, like my good friend who was recently on your show as well, Jim Gale, teach people how to grow their own food, get out of the system. You have to buck the system. You can't just sit here and say, you know what, everything's going to be great. Donald Trump is going to fix everything. And the guy that comes after, no, you know what? I'm going to bet on the fact that things are not going to get better. I'm going to bet on the fact that things are going to get worse. And I'm going to bet on Mel Carmine, because I wake up in the morning and I know I can trust Mel Carmine.
Yeah. My worry about individualism and leaning into personal self, Mel, is our own fallibility. I mean, you've even alluded in our conversation so far to your requirement for your dear wife, who's too shy to come on podcasts. And me and my wife, we just started doing one Sunday service where we just read the Bible and talk about our current spiritual challenges. Because the biggest thing that's happened in my life in the last couple of years, and there's been a lot of big things that have happened in my life in the last couple of years, is the revelation that Christ is real. And I think that can be easily misinterpreted because the institutions that you are describing, mostly through their technological capacity, their current technological capacity, for example, the bureaucratic ability in the last 50 years of the state to declare ownership over you through the process of birth registration, and now vehicular control through vehicle registration, and as the technology increases, so their power will increase. I reckon these systems have always been present because new technology, almost by definition, tends to end up in the hands of the most powerful institutions and groups. That further consolidates their advantage. I mean, we all know that this technology, one of its functions is it develops the next wave of technology. So there's this sort of exponential growth in the areas where control is already concentrated. That's why I suppose people always question the provenance and doubt the truth of the idea that e.g. Mark Zuckerberg was making that thing in a garage, or Serge Brin and Larry Page came up with Google themselves, particularly when, as Mike Benz brilliantly explained, that their PhD while they were still at college was funded by a CIA carve-out. You start to see that actually the reach and power of these centralized systems goes way beyond what we have imagined, and even the idea of the brilliant genius and ingenious entrepreneur needs to be interrogated before it's believed. What I see, I reckon, maybe, even though I agree with you on the most important things, the state is evil. All of the powerful institutions in the world, whether they're media, communications, technology, or finance, are in some way that's difficult to fully understand, centrally controlled by one group, and that there's a potentially an occultist component. That the answer to this problem, even if you disagree on the nature of the problem, because some people might just go, no, these people are just, it's just Bill Gates buying up farmland. It's just powerful people influencing and controlling resources. Even if you just see it in that way, and I don't think there's a problem with seeing it that way, the solution remains the same: to establish new models for survival outside of the system. Like you've said, Jim Gale came on and talked to us about food independence. We want to talk to people about energy independence. Joby is all about financial independence and trade independence. I'm interested in the independence and freedom of information and the establishment of truly participatory democratic systems where communities can be run by the members of that community as much as they want to be involved, with no restriction. So if you take any issue of our day, whether it's the kind of neoliberal wokeism in schools type issues, or the migration challenges, or police brutality, whether that's against a white kid in the UK or against a black man in the United States, all of these issues can be brokered, limited, curtailed, controlled, improved by allowing the people of a community to meaningfully engage in the way their community is managed. I mean, the literal voting on budgets and the distribution of resources, the tedious business of politics. In fact, the ideology and glamour should be stripped out of politics altogether. It should become banal. In order for this to happen, we as a culture have to let go of our mad fetishization of objects, gadgetry, sexualization of one another, obsession with progress and the idea that there's going to be some object coming down the line that's going to improve our lives. And that's the spiritual work that has to be done. It's difficult to undertake that voluntarily, and I haven't undertaken it voluntarily. I've undertaken it because, as a result, I think, of the work I was doing during the pandemic, a sort of a series of crises entered into my life, and out of that crisis I've experienced revelation, and it's the revelation of the nature that that I've just described. Do you think then, Mel, mate, that what we should be doing is organizing among entrepreneurial individuals systems for establishing communities that mean that we could voluntarily decouple from the master system, i.e. a new confederacy of secession where each community, as long as we agree to certain, one would call them common sense, moral and ethical laws around respecting people's individual personal freedom, sanctity, ability to consent, leave the community, no murder, no stealing, all that kind of basic stuff, that once you did that, you could have a confederacy that would include Muslim communities, Christian communities, secular atheist communities, communities that want to aggregate and organize around their sexuality, if that's what they wanted, like a whole gay community where if they wanted to, they could have bio babies, whatever. You'd get out of the business of a community's morality. You'd focus on your own personal connection to God and focus on using the technology that we have now to increase freedom. Because as you've said, the technology always seems to increase the ability of the state to control. Do you agree with me, Mel?
I do totally agree with you. Earlier you mentioned God, and I'm flashing. You can see my screen, I hope, right?
Yeah, but I can't see. I can see you, but I can't see what you bring up on your screen. But we can do it in post if because you're in a Zoom call with our producer, so he'll be able to sort that out.
You can't see my screen.
He might be able to, though.
Of the XR. I'm showing an XRP logo and I sent this. I took a picture of this innocently in Costa Rica. I was on one of my favorite beaches called Playa Langosta, and what happened was that I sent this picture to my friend Kathy, who lives in Florida as well. She circled this face of God next to the XRP logo. Notice it's not a Bitcoin logo or an XLM logo or an Ethereum logo. It's an XRP logo. And I was an atheist at the time because I basically stopped believing. When you do what I do for 40 years plus, and the man does not come down from the sky, you start to doubt everything. And it's normal, it's natural. I'm sure you've probably gone through that phase yourself, if I know enough about you. So, yes, we have to create heaven on earth. We have the ability, but if you think the state, who is completely total communistic in nature, Marxist in nature, they've brainwashed your kids, they want to control your money. The reason why XRP and Bitcoin and all these, they don't want this stuff is because if I wanted to buy your house, for example, Russell, and you accept Bitcoin or XRP or whatever it is, and I'm willing to send that money directly to your wallet, do I need a bank?
No.
I don't. And this is what they're afraid of, right? So we can take over. We can create systems that clean up the atmosphere. We can create systems that clean up the dirt. We can tell Donald Trump, say, why don't you sign an executive order that says, listen, if you don't stop spraying us, that the people that run the air forces around the country can just come up with war jets and escort you down to a military base and bring your ass down to Guantanamo Bay and advertise that on the evening news. Your problem will be solved in about 22 fucking nanoseconds.
I like it. Decentralization.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if we're going to have little military forces, though. You want an air force in your one.
Yeah, I love Jim Gale. I love Joby. I love everybody. I love you too. But the reality is this: if we don't free up the fucking microphones, you can yell at the top of the biggest mountain, Mount Everest, okay, that you should grow your own food. But if someone is in charge of the damn microphone, you could yell until your eyes pop out of your skull. Ain't nobody listening to you, dog. So let's fix first thing first. Let's fix the microphone. Let's get a platform that when I build the platform, and maybe all these influential people will invite me on their podcast, say, you know what? That is amazing. You delivered exactly what I wanted. How genius. Not that I'm calling myself a genius, but I am.
So what you want to, are you saying that's what you want to do, is build a literal platform?
Oh yeah. This is the biggest endeavor that I've done in my entire life. And whatever it takes, balls to the walls, I will deliver the platform exactly the way it's on paper. Artificial intelligence said this: Mel, if you deliver this and you charge people through the blockchain exactly the way it's on digital paper, and you build it with the best AI, with the proper backing, financial backing, etc., this is going to crush YouTube, Facebook, anybody that wants to get in our way. You know why? Because we're going to build a mousetrap that is for the people, so that the people can have their voices back. Not a little bit, all the way, 100%. Full spectrum, free speech, no holes barred.
Yesterday, I was looking at X, right? And it's after this sort of, I think it's not a murder, actually. It's an attempted murder in Belfast. It happened to be a Somali immigrant, attacked a white native guy in Belfast. And it's obviously, given the climate around the issue of migration in the UK, it's created a lot of heat, understandably. And I did see someone on X, right, mate, like a working class white geezer, tattooed up, earrings in, and this is why we got to have, like a proper rant about how he felt. And I don't know how many views it had, or what the guy's pedigree was, but he was there to be seen on X, So like any new platform that is going to deliver, like, right, say now if I look on X, Knicks fans attacked a Five Guys employee for being a Spurs fan. Like Spurs fan. I can see riots. I can see protests. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with you 100%. I agree with you. But I reckon the only way we can succeed when it comes to... I think the only thing when it comes to establishing platforms and any of these systems, you know what's going to be demanded of us is that we at the level of integrity when it comes to profiting. Oh man, we're going to be our feet are going to be to the coals because we cannot be in any way looking for anything other than the service of God. Because right now, there are good platforms out there that have enough free speech. And this system is robust enough to accommodate quite a lot of free speech. I think that the system, I say basically whatever I want on Rumble 3 times a week. And the truth is it don't make that much difference because there are so many ways to control the access, maybe even the devices themselves. You know, we don't know what the hardware does. We don't know what logically AI and all of these groups that governments employ and corporations employ to manage social media impact. You know, like their power is really what has to be thwarted. But I will say, mate, that both with your film Straw Man and Dear Mr. President, you're doing incredible work and you have exactly the kind of spirit that we need to advance. Thank you very much, man, for joining us. And I hope next time I see you, we'll get to meet your wife as well and to hear her contributions. You can see Mel Carmine's work by clicking the link in the description. That includes his film, Dear Mr. President, and Show Me the Money, The Straw Man. And you can get more. Where can people go to get more of your content, Mel?
Yeah, sure. They can go to, if you go on YouTube, my main channel is Mel Carmine Podcast, just Mel Carmine Podcast. The channel's got 54,000 and change. Not a big whoopee-doo. I mean, I'm going to tell you something before we go. We actually load the same content that we load on YouTube. For some reason, YouTube is allowing me to grow just a little bit. The same content we load on YouTube is the same content we load on Rumble. Rumble, for some reason, has it in for me. Maybe they like you. Maybe they like Nino Rodriguez. Maybe they like all these other people. But Mel Carmine is maybe too Brooklyn, too abrasive, too whatever. You know what I mean?
You're not too Brooklyn for us. I love you. You're a perfect level of Brooklyn.
Yeah. You know, for me, I'm here because I want people to be healthy. I want people to be happy. I want people to have freedom of speech. I want total liberty. I want the republic to be reinstated. I want the American incorporation to go away. I want people to come to my wellness center, Staying Alive in Cape Canaveral, and sit in the biophotonic frequency energy and look as good as me when you're 63. You're
63, are you? Looking great, Mel. I'd like to get into what I'm imagining as a little bio egg. I'd like to look like Mork at the end of Mork. I'd like to get right in there. Cape Canaveral, you say? That's not that far.
It's not that far at all. Come on
I could
down.
come by.
We would love to have you. We would love to have you, mate. Absolutely. StayingAlive.com is with 2 E's, because if you do only 1 E, you'll end up with the Bee Gees. You don't want to do that. Besides,
we've been down that road. All right, man. Mel, thanks, man. Thanks for your time, and we'll talk again soon. Lots of love, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. The Mel Carmine Show begins in just 1 minute. Support the movement. Visit QFS1776.com for exclusive one-of-a-kind merch that makes a powerful statement. Protect your wealth. Cash is trash. Go to carminesgold.com and secure real assets, silver, gold, delivered anywhere in the U.S. Text Mel at 786-704-8817. Looking to acquire XRP? Minimum is $10,000 investment, and there is no limit, even up to $100 million worth. Again, text Mel with full details at 786-704-8817 and allow up to 24 hours for a response. And if by chance you're visiting Cape Canaveral or you are a local, visit stayingalive.com, alive with 2 E's, and recharge your body at the cellular level.